Now the second center, which I call as a Swadhisthana center, is also a very important center within us. The first center looks after all our excretion. It has got 4 petals. In the same way, in the pelvic plexus, which is manifested by that, which is a gross plexus within us, has also got 4 subplexuses. Now another one that we have is the Swadhisthana center, which is the second center. Second center has got 6 petals, and it supplies or it manifests in the gross, the aortic plexus, which also has got 6 subplexuses. Now this center is very important for us in the modern times. It's extremely important, and I think neglect of this center can create lots of problems. Now this center, if you see, is connected with the brain, and this center is responsible for our action, is the center of our creativity. When we think of the future, when we do any physical work, we use this center for that purpose. And one has to understand that these days we are developing lots of diseases because we have not understood what is the function of this center is. The foremost function of this center is to convert the fat cells for the use of the grey matter in the head. When we think too much all the time about the future, we plan, we go on planning into all details, what happens is that this poor center has to work very hard to produce new cells one after another for the use of your brain. Apart from that, it has to do many other functions. It has to look after your liver, it has to look after your spleen, it has to look after your pancreas, your kidneys, and also uterus among women. If you start thinking too much, all the time thinking, if you cannot stop your thinking, all the time your brain goes on thinking, a sort of a thinking process starts without your control, then poor this center has to work all that, your liver goes out. When your liver goes out, you must know that liver is one of the most important things within us because it nourishes our attention. Chitta. It nourishes our chitta. Now this attention, whenever it is spoiled because there are certain poisons within us. Any. It can be physical poisons, it can be mental poisons, it can be emotional poisons, any kind of poisons there are, especially the physical and the emotional ones, they go to this liver which sorts it out. This is the function of this liver, is to sort it out. But when you are not giving it sufficient energy, you are using it for thinking, then poor this center is left behind. It has no nourishment, nobody looks after it, it becomes sluggish. When it becomes sluggish, all the heat accumulates in the liver. And such a person doesn't get any temperature till he gets cirrhosis and he dies. Now when thinking goes on too much, people get tired of thinking too much. So they think that let's have something that will take us away from thinking, which will give us a kick outside. So they take some sort of a drug or a drink or alcohol and all that. All the saints in the world have said that alcohol is very dangerous for life. The reason is it goes against our awareness. This is a fact. You know that after taking a drink, our awareness becomes blurred or excited. It's not normal. That is the reason they said no. In Sahaja Yoga, I do not say don't do this or don't do that. I only want you to come to Sahaja Yoga, get your realization, and then you will not ask for it. That's a much better way to do it. But why they asked you? For example, if you read Moses has clearly said that these are strong drinks. Very clearly. I don't know if people read that. And they should be avoided. I don't know if the Jews do that. They should not be taken. He's very clearly said it. Abraham said the same thing, that drinks are not good. Why all these prophets talk about it? Because they are all born in that green patch of ours. They are all placed in this green patch where we get our sustenance, which is 10. We have got 10 sustenances within us, like the gold has a sustenance that it does not tarnish. In the same way, human beings have got 10 sustenances. And these 10 sustenances are represented by great prophets. The principal is called as Adi Guru in Sanskrit language, the primordial master. He has incarnated on this earth as Abraham, Moses, as Lao Tse, as Confucius, as Socrates. Recently he has been as Sainath of Shirdi, not the other fellow, and other great people have been like Nanaka, Janaka. All these great saints came on this earth to tell us how to keep in the center, how to keep our sustenance, how to be human beings. As carbon has got 4 valencies, we too have got 10 valencies. We have to maintain those 10 valencies within us. That's what they came to tell us. But you see, if anybody says now, don't drink, half of the hall will be empty. If you say you cannot have free sex, 5 people will walk off. That's the problem. Here nobody likes to know anything about it, but it's a dangerous thing to do. Whatever it is that you have to keep in the center. You have to be in the center. And how to keep in the center is not to go to extreme, be moderate. And moderate life is the best way. But even if you have not been, doesn't matter. Kundalini is at this point in such a force that whatever you might have done, you get your realization quite all right. So it's a different point. But what I'm trying to tell you is this, that why these people said so. Why they said, now Muhammad Sahib is another one who said don't drink. He's one of them. He's just the same. There's no difference. There's no difference between Moses and Muhammad Sahib. I can prove it to you on vibrations. You can yourself know through vibrations that they were the same people, said the same thing. There's no difference of any kind. It's only people are fighting, I don't know why. I just can't understand what is there to fight between these two. They were just the same, preached the same thing, and when Moses crossed the river and the bridge was made, that bridge is the bridge which is symbolic of the Kundalini that creates for you to cross this void within us. It's very symbolic. They have worked so hard to tell you what is sustenance, where we have to be in the center. Because if you are in the sustenance, as he said, that only a thread of this Kundalini rises. It is not one thread that should rise. Actually, I've seen in people, the whole of it goes up like that and stays there in many people. But the trouble is, it rises because there's no space to rise. We have finished off with the Swadhisthana and with the another chakra which is in the center, which is the color is wrong. All right. In the center, that is the called as Nabhi chakra, means a navel center. So when you have an obstruction in the center, naturally the Kundalini, though it rises with full force, all the threads fall down, and only one somehow or other goes up and opens up the Sahasrara, thinking that at least if I open up there, then the others, the grace will fall and maybe it will open out more. So this is the problem. That's why they said that you lead a life which is moderate and temperate. And this is what they preach to. Now let us see what happens when we go to extremes. In the center, as you have seen, is the sustenance within us. Now if you try to go beyond this side or that side, what happens, let us see. Beyond this side is the subconscious. If you go, you enter into the collective subconscious. On the other side, if you move, that is the supraconscious, you enter into collective supraconscious. Now into this side are all the people, on the left side are the people who are still dissatisfied, very sly, sinister, horrible people who are dead, who do not want to take birth and who still want to torture people are still existing there. These are busybodies. They can possess you. They do possess. And on the right hand side there are people like Hitler who are very ambitious, who have died out of their ambitions and things like that. They still exist there. Either you enter into this side or either you enter into that side when you go to extremes and you just get possessed. It's a very dangerous area we are entering into. Recently I was seeing a BBC program and some doctors had discovered a very interesting thing. They said that cancer is triggered, listen to this very carefully, cancer is triggered by some proteins, they call it protein 58, protein 56 or something like that. When these proteins attack us from some unknown areas within us, which are built within us since our creation. What are these areas? I mean, this I have been telling for so many years, is the left side and the right side, the two extremes. Now what do we do when we go to the right side? Right side is the area where you think too much, where you project yourself in the future. Now like that you go on, then you start becoming a person who is more interested in the future than in the present. The center is the present. Now you start projecting your mind into that. When you start projecting your mind too much into that, you start moving into that side. With that, anybody who is an austere person, they think that if you are a very austere person, you lead a life of celibacy and all these nonsensical things, you see. All this is absolutely nonsensical. If you lead a life of celibacy, it's not going to help you at all. On the contrary, such a person becomes an extremely dry personality and ultimately dies of heart attack.